Meet Neal Page, a family man, a man in marketing, a man who is kind of picky about what he eats, a man who was on a simple business trip in Manhattan days before Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble.
But this man was about to experience something he would not give thanks for. He would become stranded, but not alone. Oh, but only if he were alone.
Welcome back to What a Crime.
What a crime.
The channel that digs into the twisted minds and disturbing motives of the most unusual criminals in history. Today, just in time for Thanksgiving, we bring you the tale of Del Griffith.
Del Griffith, American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
A man with a gift for deception and the talent of turning the simplest journey into a nightmare. This isn't a story of just bad luck or unfortunate coincidence. No, this is a story of manipulation, exploitation, and psychological torment. Because Neal Page had no idea that in his desperation to get home, he stumbled upon one of America's most prolific drifters. These are the sinister travels of Del Griffith.
Neal Page's plan was simple. Get into a taxi, get onto a plane, and then he was home. But Neal Page had no idea that this journey would turn into a living hell. Because lurking in the shadows was Del Griffith, a man with no fixed address, a suspicious occupation,
And a tragic backstory, which was suspiciously vague.
Del claimed to be a shower curtain ring salesman.
Best in the world.
Has anyone out there ever met an actual shower curtain ring salesman? Put it in the comments below if you have.
He talked about his wife a lot. But if he loved her so much, why did he spend so much time on the road selling those shower curtain rings? Neal and Del found themselves sitting side by side on a plane that was delayed and then diverted to Wichita, Kansas.
$6 and my right nut says we're not landing in Chicago.
Somehow, every motel room in the state was booked, but Del Griffith was able to get a room just fine. And for the price of a cab, Del offered Neal a guarantee for a room of his own. But once they arrived, oh, surprise, surprise, there was no room for Neal. He'd have to share a room with Del. Looking back, it's now very easy to see that Neal Page had been targeted by a man who thrived on chaos, and it was only about to get worse.
But in the darkest moments of Neal's journey, there was one thing he could rely on. One source of comfort in a world of deceit. His socks. And this episode of What a Crime is proudly sponsored by Socks to Be You, the only sock company that provides style, warmth, and resilience for even the most arduous of journeys. Made from only the finest materials, Socks to Be You are perfect for surviving blizzards, dubious travel arrangements, and even the occasional fiery car accident. So, whether you're journeying across the country with a suspicious con man or just trying to make it through a long day, make sure you have Socks to Be You. Use the promo code What a Crime Socks Marathon 1987 for 10% off your first pair. Because no matter how dark the world gets, your feet deserve to stay warm.
But even quality affordable socks couldn't protect Neal from the psychological torment that lay ahead, because Neal Page had no idea just how far Del Griffith would go to get what he wanted. After a train ride where the train just stopped in the middle of nowhere and forced all the passengers to walk back to town, Neal thought he finally had ditched Del in St. Louis. With air travel still unavailable, Neal attempted to book a taxi all the way to Chicago.
Yeah, where you going?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Chicago.
You know you're in St. Louis?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you try the airline? It's a lot faster and you get a free meal.
If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak. Now, are you gonna help me, or are you gonna stand there like a slab of meat with mittens?
After insulting a sarcastic dispatcher, Neal was rescued by Del, who just so happened to pull up in a rental car as Neal was being assaulted.
Well, get your car out of here!
Yeah, just a minute, okay?
Get it out of here!
What is your problem? You insensitive asshole! Can't you see we got an injured man down on the street? Now I'll move my car, but I want you to help him up.
No! My pleasure.
And though Neal was desperate enough to get in, he had no idea that this horrible decision would lead now to a brush with death. Driving in the wrong direction, nearly colliding with two oncoming semi-trucks.
What?
Del's recklessness was unmatched. Was it simply incompetence, or was this all a part of his grand scheme to push Neal to the edge and watch him fall?
But Del's most shocking crime was yet to come.
Before the accident with the semi-trucks, while Neal slept soundly in the passenger seat, Del threw a lit cigarette into the back seat. And as flames engulfed the car, Neal discovered that Del had rented it with Neal's credit card.
Somehow your Diners Club card wound up in my wallet, and I just...
You stole it!
Not exactly.
You stole
No, I swear on my life I
know
didn't.
you stole it!
I did not
You
steal
stole
your
my
card!
And then you
I
rented
didn't.
a car, and then you burned it
I
up!
did not! I found it in my wallet!
I knew you stole it!
I thought you put it there!
Why would I put it there?
Kindness?
Kindness? You stole it! He stole it!
No, I didn't!
Was this another accident? Or was Del Griffith simply playing the long game, leaving Neal stranded and penniless thousands of miles from home? When morning came, Neal Page was left with nothing but regret and a burnt-out shell of a vehicle.
And though they finally did reach Chicago, Neal knew he would never be the same.
It's been a hell of a trip.
Sure is.
But after all is said and done, you did get me home, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, next time, let's go first class, all right?
God, I hope there isn't a next time.
I know what you mean.
And yet, as Neal walked away, rode a subway away, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. That perhaps Del Griffith wasn't just a grifter, but a lonely man, an enigma with nowhere to go.
And when Neal finally confronted Del with his lies, the man had no choice but to admit that his wife had been dead for 8 years. Her cause of death? Well, Del left that part out of his confession.
So, in a stunning act of compassion, Neal Page invited Del Griffith into his home, where his wife and children and parents were celebrating Thanksgiving. But even now, so many questions. Where did Del Griffith come from? Where is Del Griffith going next? And what really happened to his wife? Where do you think Del Griffith is now? Is he still out there, hopping from city to city, latching on to unsuspecting travelers? We need your theories. Comments below.
And if you like this video, go ahead and hop in line at that marathon rental car and tell that person behind the desk that you want to f***ing like and subscribe right now.
So that way you will never miss an episode of What a Crime, because you never know. You may be sitting next to a con man on a plane as you watch him take his shoes and socks off and go, "Oh,
Oh,
could happen."
that feels better.